Our bathroom sink is draining really slowly. So I'm going to have to pull that drain plug out of there and reach in and see if there's clogging material I can pull out of there. So I'm going to show you how to do that. You'll notice that you can't just lift this out because it's captive in there. So you have to get underneath the sink, and I'll show you how to remove the little stem that holds that in. This is the little lever that moves that drain plug up and down. You can see when you lift up on this, it pulls it down, stops it up. When you push down on that thing, it does this. So what you have to do is unscrew this part right here. If your sink is full of water, you got to let it drain before you do this because it'll all come rushing out here. If the sink's dry, you can undo this. You're going to have to pull this little rod out of here. That's what's holding that drain plug captive. I loosened it with some pliers. Now I can just unscrew this, and I'll show you what happens. When you pull it out like this, that's probably enough to let the drain plug come out. You'll notice there's a little nylon washer here. There's a little nylon ball. It's best to clean all this up while you're cleaning the other. But now I'm going to go back up above, and I can show you how I can lift the drain plug out. This will now lift right out, and you can see it's just clogged with all kinds of gunk. So what I'm going to have to do is get down in there and get it out. I'll show you what I'm going to use. I don't know if you can see in there that well, but there's a lot of hair and gunk that's slowing down the drain. I have this little tool that I use. It has a plunger on the end. When I push that, you'll see these little things, little tongs come out, and they can grab onto things like hair and pull it out of there. So I'm going to use this going down the hole and open it up, grab some, and just pull it out each time and see if I can get most of it out of there. I've already gotten this much gunk out of it, and I don't know if you can, I'm going to let you see down in there. You can see there's still other stuff, so you can use really a brush or a piece of wire with a little bent barb on the end to just fish things out of there. Most of the stuff is up near the top where this drain plug is, and so it's a matter of just trying to clean it out as best you can. Now that I've picked that stuff out, I'm going to use a couple of brushes. You can buy these, they're made for cleaning out your dryer vent, and they sell them in little kits. You can just buy brushes. That's what I'm using for this. And then I have this little brush. I'm going to scrub off that drain plug really good. It's got a bunch of gunk on it too. This is how much gunk came out just from running this brush through there one time. It pulled a lot out. If you look down in there now, you can see the drain pipe. You can see that it's brass and it looks pretty clean. So a lot of the gunk is out of there. Now what I have to do is clean up all this stuff out of the sink and clean that drain plug. Okay, now I've got to clean up this whole mess. That's a lot of gunk that came out of there. I got the sink clean. I also cleaned this off. You can see it's not perfect, but all the gunk is gone off of it. You don't see it because it's down in there, so it doesn't have to look good. When I put it back in there, you can see where that hole is and how it's offset. I'm going to put it in this way, so the part of that rod that moves the most on the outside of it will be pushing this, and I'll get the most travel up and down with it. You can put it in that way too if you want to, where the rod comes in and it's closest to the pivot. It works either way, but I prefer to put it in this way. Okay, I'm going to put that push rod back in. So first of all, what I'm going to do is set this in here. I'm going to put it in so that hole is facing where the rod can poke through it. And then I'll go down underneath and I'll show you. You can see I've tried to clean off the rod as best I can. And since the plug is down, I'm going to angle it in like this and see if I can catch it. If I can, it should move it up and down like that. And then you can check to see if it's working up on top. I haven't tightened it down yet, but I made sure that the rod went through that hole so it'll lift it up and down. And then you can see when I lift up on it, it's captive in there, it can't come out. So that means the rod is through the hole in there. Now I can go under and tighten it up. All I have to do now is to slide this nut back over to the threads and then tighten it back onto there. I think a good finger tightening is good enough. You can use a pair of pliers if you like. You normally have to use pliers to loosen it because it'll stick. See right there, the tighter you make it, the harder it is for this lever to move. So you can just tighten it with your fingers and then check to make sure it doesn't leak when you run water. But that's tight enough to hold it into position, and it's just finger tight. I think for good measure, I'm going to give it about a quarter of a, well, maybe an eighth of a turn with the pliers, just to be sure it's snugged up, and then you can feel how much resistance there is on this rod, but at least it stays in any position that you put it in. And now you can see how well the water runs through there. It doesn't back up at all. Before it would back up and fill the sinks with the drain open. While I was at it, I decided to also clean out our guest bathroom sink because it was draining slowly too. For comparison, you can see the only thing that came out here was hair and a few things, but it didn't have that same gunk that was in the other one. When I shine a light in here, you can see this one's really clean, and this is all that came out of it. So not all of them are going to be as black and gross as that first one was.